It weighs more than a pound, cold in the hand, the way serious gold always is. 2 faces, 920 individual parts, 24 separate functions beyond simply telling the time. Every part made by hand, no computers, no digital modeling, nothing more sophisticated than what a skilled craftsman could operate in a Swiss workshop in 1926. It is the most complicated mechanical timepiece ever built without digital assistance. It sold at auction in 2014 for $24 million. The man who ordered it was from New Jersey. Henry Graves Jr. was born in Orange, New Jersey in March 1868 into a banking family with serious money and a serious appetite for the best of everything. His father co-founded the Maxwell and Graves investment firm. Henry Jr. kept the firm and expanded the appetite. Rare coins, Chinese porcelain, European paintings of royal provenance, and above all, mechanical watches. Not collecting as a hobby, collecting as a form of conquest. He lived at 834 Fifth Avenue in a duplex overlooking Central Park. From the windows, the park spread dark and wide below. Trees, carriageways, the faint percussion of the city, and above it, on the right nights, the stars coming up over the east side. Graves was a man who wanted the world described in exact terms. He trusted precision. He mistrusted sentiment. He wanted what no one else had. By 1919, aged 51, he had begun commissioning watches directly from Patek Philippe in Geneva. Not selecting from a catalog, arriving at the salon on Rue du Rhône and specifying what he wanted built. Over the following decades, he would commission 30 pieces from them. 15 survive, most in the Patek Philippe Museum in Geneva. But in 1925, he gave the watchmakers an instruction no one had ever given before. "Build me," he said, "the most complicated watch in the world." Before we can understand what Graves ordered, we need to meet the other American. Because there is a famous version of this story in which 2 men were bitter rivals, locked in a watch arms race, each trying to humiliate the other. That version has been told for 30 years, and it was, by the confession of the man who invented it, a fabrication. The truth is more interesting. James Ward Packard was born in Warren, Ohio, on November 5, 1863. He was not a banker. He was an engineer, the kind who wired his university dormitory with telegraph lines to friends' rooms, and filed over 40 patents in his lifetime. He built incandescent lamps. He founded the Packard Motor Car Company, America's first prestige automobile manufacturer. And he collected watches the way a fellow engineer would, not as trophies but as problems he wanted to see solved. What Packard wanted, above all, was the sky. In 1927, Packard was in the Cleveland Clinic dying from a brain tumor. Patek Philippe delivered to his hospital room a double-faced pocket watch built over years to his specification. On the front, perpetual calendar, moon phases, sunrise and sunset times for Warren, Ohio. Turn it over. A rotating disc of deep blue enamel carrying 512 gold stars, the exact night sky above Warren, moving at sidereal speed, the hills, his factory, the town where he had built everything, compressed into a circle of lapis and gold, turning in his hands as the real sky turned above a place he would never see again. He died in March 1928. He believed that watch had taken him to the summit of what was possible. He was right for himself. But word of what he'd done had reached New York, and Henry Graves Jr. had read the description. The commission required Patek Philippe's craftsman to do something without precedent at the scale of a portable timepiece. No computers, no shortcuts, nothing beyond what skilled hands could achieve in a small workshop in the Vallée de Joux, that narrow Swiss valley where for 2 centuries virtually every great complicated watch in the world had been quietly born. They spent 3 years just designing it, The work fell to the workshop of Victorin Piguet in Le Sentier. 3 generations of the same family were involved. Victorin's sons, Jean and Paul, assembled the movement. His grandson, Henri Daniel, developed the hand-setting mechanism, the system by which a single crown and a ring of invisible push pieces could govern 24 separate functions simultaneously without any single action disrupting another. The celestial map required exhaustive calculation by hand. The night sky above 834 Fifth Avenue at 40 degrees 41 minutes north had to be encoded in a gear train too small to see clearly with the naked eye. Stars plotted by magnitude. The sky's rotation, 3 minutes and 56 seconds faster per day than solar time, mechanically reproduced in gold and steel without a single digital shortcut. And then there were the chimes. Inside a case the size of a man's palm, 5 separate gongs are positioned with such precision that the hammers striking them produce in sequence the Westminster chime, the same 4-note phrase that sounds from Big Ben above the Thames. In miniature, on demand, on the hour, every hour, in a pocket watch. That alone would have been remarkable. It was one of 24 things happening simultaneously inside the same case. 5 years of manufacture. The movement was completed on September 28, 1932. Pick it up. 536 grams of 18-karat gold wider than your fist. 920 parts inside, 430 screws, 110 wheels, 120 levers, 70 jewels. Every one shaped by hand. The front face tells solar and sidereal time simultaneously. A perpetual calendar, day, date, month, year, accurate without adjustment until the year 2100. Moon phases, the equation of time, the precise difference on any given day between clock noon and true solar noon, which varies by up to 16 minutes across the year. Power reserve for both trains, a split-seconds chronograph, a central alarm, sunrise and sunset times calculated specifically for the coordinates of Graves's address. Turn it over. The back face carries the night sky above Central Park, enamel and gold, rotating at the actual speed of the stars. Open the case at a window on a clear night, and what you see on the dial is what you see above. This is not a watch with extra features. It is a personal astronomical instrument, one of a kind, built for one man, one address, one view of one city's sky. The super complication held the world record for 56 years. It was finally surpassed in 1989 by Patek Philippe itself, using computers. It remains today the most complicated object a human being has ever assembled by hand alone. The watch was shipped from Geneva under explicit instructions to United States Customs: do not attempt to wind it. After 8 years of construction, no stranger's hand was going to touch the mechanism. It was delivered to Henry Graves Jr. on January 19, 1933. He had commissioned it in 1925 at the height of the Roaring Twenties, when the money felt inexhaustible. He received it in the pit of the Great Depression, in a city stripped of confidence. And in March 1932, something else had happened. The infant son of Charles Lindbergh had been kidnapped from his bedroom. The case consumed American headlines for a year. Graves, a very wealthy man now holding a very famous object, drew the connection immediately. He told no one he owned it. He refused all publicity. He would not be named. At some point, he took his daughter Gwendolyn out on Saranac Lake in the Adirondacks, where the family kept a private camp called Eagle Island. He brought the watch, and somewhere on that lake, he held it over the water and told her that notoriety brings bad fortune, that possessing such a thing brought nothing but trouble. He made as if to drop it. She talked him down. She took it from his hand. She kept it. Graves died in 1953. He had owned the most complicated handmade object in the world for 20 years, and almost no one had known. Gwendolyn inherited the watch. In 1960, she gave it to her son, Reginald Fullerton. In 1969, Fullerton sold it to Seth Atwood, an industrialist from Illinois who had built a private horological museum in Rockford, the Time Museum. The watch, conceived on Fifth Avenue, built in the Valley de Joux, and nearly dropped into a lake, spent 30 years in a display case in a small Midwestern museum surrounded by clocks. The Time Museum closed in March 1999. On December 2nd, the Super Complication sold at Sotheby's, New York for $11,002,500, 3 times its low estimate. The buyer was later identified as Sheikh Saud bin Mohammed Al Thani of Qatar. Sheikh Saud died in November 2014. His estate carried significant debts. On November 11, 2014, in Geneva, the hammer fell. $24 million, the highest price ever paid for a pocket watch. The watch Graves had nearly thrown into a lake. For 30 years, the story people told about these two men was rivalry. Graves, the banker, and Packard, the engineer, locked in obsession, driving the craftsman of Geneva to greater and greater extremes. Alan Banbury, a former director of Patek Philippe, admitted in the 1990s that he had largely invented it, floated as a promotional device ahead of the 1999 sale. There is no evidence Packard and Graves ever met. What is true is that Graves knew of Packard's reputation and asked Patek Philippe specifically to exceed his watches, along with the Leroy 01 and the Breguet Marie Antoinette, begun for a queen in 1783, finished in 1827, long after her death. Graves wanted to top a very particular list, but the difference between these two men is the difference between acquisition and obsession. Packard worked with watchmakers as a fellow engineer, a collaborator, not a buyer. He wanted his hometown encoded in blue enamel. He wanted the specific longitude and latitude of where he was born turned into moving gold. Packard didn't commission a record, he commissioned a mirror. Graves commissioned a monument. They were not rivals. They were two different kinds of American with two entirely different reasons for needing the sky inside a gold case. The Super Complication still runs. Last serviced in 1969, it keeps time today as precisely as the day it left Le Sentier in 1932. The perpetual calendar needs no adjustment until 2100. The enamel sky still rotates at the speed of the actual stars above Manhattan. It sits now in a private collection somewhere in the world. The location is not announced. Henry Graves Jr. spent 20 years afraid of what he owned. 920 parts, 8 years of work, the Westminster chimes, the sky above Manhattan, all of it inside a case you could close in one hand, and he nearly gave it to a lake. What he couldn't see, standing in that boat, is what we understand now. The danger wasn't real, but the object was. It still is. A gold pocket watch from New Jersey, the most complicated thing human hands have ever made, still counting every second, still reading the stars, still chiming the hours from inside a case the size of a man's palm, for an address on Fifth Avenue where nobody has lived for 70 years. Some things are worth building perfectly, even if you spend your whole life afraid of them. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click the next video on your screen for another interesting breakdown on watches.